as once you actually get to college?
Yeah, a lot of that stuff we just control with our play. And out of high school, we don't pay too much attention to all that outside. We just focus on the game of football and that love for football. And how that's elevated is us having great teams and other Pac-12 teams showing out too. So that's really what we think about. And the exposure, all that, it just comes along with it.
I think a lot of coming into college kind of want that exposure, kind of hungry for it, and with that hunger comes, hunger on the football field, and you kind of want your development and your athleticism and all those things to shine on the football field. So you get those interviews after the game, kind of just show everybody what you're all about, and you want that. You want your personality to show, outside of football. So, things like this, media day, and getting those interviews really helps people see who you are outside the helmet.
So kind of to that end, I mean, when you are a recruit, I mean, how much do you look at something like the Big Ten has got this exposure, and if I'm playing in the Pac, I'm playing, late at night for the East Coast and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't really. A lot of guys don't really look into that as much. I think people really worry about just getting on the football field and what's convenient for them in terms of proximity of where they're at from the hometown to the college they're pursuing. I don't really think about who gets more exposure, because at the end of the day, if you're a good player, you're going to get the exposure no matter where you're at in the country.
Jaxson, I'm curious, you were here a year ago, you probably thought that was going to be your last time at one of these events. What's the feeling like? Is it surreal being back, or is it feeling being back here today?
It's great. It's awesome. I love connecting with the fans in any way I can and all of you guys. So I was excited to get this opportunity. I'm thankful that Coach DeBoer allowed me to come here with a great dude and teammate like Alex. So it's awesome, and I feel like a veteran. Know what to do. It's like called the car wash. We're just getting shopped around place to place. So yeah, it's awesome.
Were you playing through the ankle injury all of last season, or what was the timeline on that?
Yeah, definitely. I injured it a couple games in last season, and just taped it up and just trying to be the tough guy that I am, and I was just toughing it out, and it ended up being a lot more severe than I thought, and which led me back to getting a great opportunity to come back and play for UW. So yeah, I was definitely playing through that.
Did you guys discuss surgery at all during the season, or was that like a total surprise that you were going to need that once you got into the draft process?
I was discovered when I found out during the draft process. It was more of a thing where it started as an ankle injury, and then just playing more on it made it worse. So it was discovered during the draft process, which obviously made me withdraw and get surgery immediately. And then weighing my options, made the most sense to come back to UW for a year and improve my draft stock.
How tough of a decision was that, where you obviously could have stayed in the draft probably and just kind of went through it? You had said goodbye to the fans and that kind of thing. Was it tough to then turn around and get back into the college mindset, or what was that process like?
Yeah, it was bittersweet, definitely, because it certainly was tough getting that news. I'll never forget that day, discovering how bad it was, and people telling you like, no matter what, you need surgery and you're going to miss out on this draft process. And like I said earlier, weighing my options, it just made the most sense to come back. And then I say bittersweet because no matter what, leaving last year's season the way we did, it was bittersweet, and I ride or die with UW, and I wanted to leave it better than I found it, and that certainly didn't happen at the end of last year. So taking all that to account and getting the idea, wow, I could come back and change things and do it differently, and now I'm wiser and older and know what went wrong last year, and I can change our habits and how we approach things. I was all for it. So to that point, it was extremely motivating knowing that I had that opportunity.
Yeah,
NIL's provided a lot of opportunities. There's about 5 or 6 of us on the team who have kids, and NIL's provided a good financial stability for a lot of those guys. And honestly, it's a good experience doing these events, giving back to the community, working these camps, and getting to see the future athletes of this country. And we just went on a fishing trip 2 weeks ago, we out in the Puget Sound and fished for some king salmon and had a good experience with that. I didn't catch any salmon, caught a bunch of sharks, but we're not gonna talk about that. But yeah, just building that bond outside of football is special with these NIL events, and it's a plus just from making money from it.
Jaxson, now.
Yeah, I think NIL is great, especially in a place like Seattle and the culture around University of Washington. It gives us such an opportunity to connect with fans. We have so many guys and so many sources outside the school that are willing to work with us in setting up camps for kids, Husky fans, and getting our names out and putting a name to the face, not just seeing us in the helmet and jersey on the field. You're like, now you see Jaxson Kirkland or Alex Cook, and like, wow, he was a great dude teaching my son or daughter that one day playing some football. So I think that's what's really cool about it.
Jaxson, Alex, I know NIL is a big conversation, but what's one thing that you guys really wanted to buy, or one thing that you guys really look forward, or how have you guys invested y'all's money now that you guys have some in the bank?
Yeah, I mean, I just putting everything to the side, just saving everything. I mean, I have a kid coming on the way in December, and I'm really excited about that, and having these NIL opportunities has provided a safety net in a way, because this is my first time being a father, so I don't know what to expect financially. So having that safety net in the bank account is always nice.
Yeah, I think certainly, and that's the funny thing with NIL is, especially with younger students, freshmen, sophomore, they're like, wow, I get all this money and now I'm going to just immediately spend it on something material that I wanted. But you got to remember too that it's taxed and you got to save that money. So I think the cons to that maybe is that also, it's trial by fire with some guys. They learn how to manage their money and all that. So yeah, definitely I think it's important to save, and a lot of people want to just put the dollar signs on NIL, but what I was saying earlier, answering his question, just connecting with the fans and connecting yourself outside the school, I feel like is a big important piece of it.
Is the school offering you guys any financial education or ways to handle your money? Are they encouraging or people or education? How are they helping you with that process?
Yeah, before any of us had touched a dollar from NIL, we had a bunch of meetings and a bunch of guys, financial advisors, and people in that field putting us on game a little bit about how to manage our money. And I mean, this has been a thing since I was a freshman before NIL, how to manage our money, the money we do get from the school, stipend checks, how to manage that, and then plus NIL is obviously a whole different level of money, and being able to manage that is really important, especially for us. Never even, I mean, a lot of guys have never seen anything over $1,000 in their bank account, and now people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's foreign. It's crazy, and being able to have those financial advisors teach us how to manage money, how to invest, how to save is really helpful.
What opened your eyes about that investing, saving money? Anything opened your eyes, really surprised you, either two of you guys about that?
Yeah, just with interest and how much you really save and taxes, that extremely opened my eyes. You're like, wow, this is really what I'm left with? Like, being an adult sucks. Yeah, but, and to that point though, back to interest, saving money and putting it in a bank, it's really cool to see. We had a guy come in and teach us about what Alex is talking about, investments, all that. And he gave up a scenario where, someone, if you start now, someone by like 50, 60 years old, you're talking your $1 million payback by putting some money away, not being so crazy with it and trying to spend it as soon as you get it. So just knowing that, like how much, even now, us being, I'm 23, I think he's 23 too, but just saving money now, how much that could pay dividends in the future, that was eye-opening.
Hey Alex, what do you think you guys do over there as far as the defensive backfield? How you guys have put out some great NFL players. You got Sidney Jones, Marcus Peters, Buda Baker, and then Trent McDuffie. What do you think makes you guys stand out when it comes to defensive back?
Yeah, I think this is a testament to Coach Lake. He installed a lot of accountability amongst one another. I know a lot of us coach each other more than our actual coaches, which is kind of crazy to hear, but a lot of the fellow DBs, we do a lot of criticizing amongst one another. Like if something's not perfect, we're gonna redo that. And that's been the way since like you said, the Buda Baker era days, and Sidney Jones, Kevin King, all the way down. With future guys like Manish Powell who's gonna be a good guy for us. Jordan Perriman, Elijah Jackson, all those guys. Asa Turner. And you'll see a lot of the same Jimmy Lake saw still prevalent to this day.
Do you consider you guys DBU?
100%. If it's not Washington, I don't know who it is.
Jaxson, question for you, Mike. First and foremost, can you give me your initial reaction to UCLA and USC? The Big Ten, just what you thought about that initially?
Yeah, we just control what we control within the university. I'm sure a lot of us had mixed emotions about it and had our own opinions, but also that doesn't happen for another 2 years, and we got some ball to play and our own goals this fall. The last thing I want is something to get in the way of that.
Did you put that,
Oh yeah, for me, I was just like, oh, cool. I mean, I won't be able to see it. I won't be able to, be a part of the conference by that time. But I mean, I thought it was whatever.
the second part of it is, the conference realignment is maybe the biggest story in college football right now. We're hearing another school every other day. You get in the news about this. Is this something that you guys pay attention to at all? Is it kind of just ignore it, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really pay attention to that outside stuff. We just worry about what we got going on in Husky Stadium. Kind of control, like Jackson said, just control what we control, man. Control what we control.
Is there something about that too, though? Just, I mean, you guys, grew up as fans, fans of the game, and there's like identities of how the game is played in certain parts of the country. And just, I think some like former players mentioned just that they know how everybody in the conference knows what it's like to play at Stanford, play at Husky Stadium.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of rich tradition, especially with USC and UCLA. Kind of the founding fathers of the Pac-12 in a sense. Like, when you think of the Pac-12, you think of the boys from LA, from Southern California. But, times are changing, and, obviously you're going to see some new faces in the Pac-12, and, again, just control what you can control. Don't worry about it too much. It's just over it.
Jaxson, we saw you throughout the spring attending practices, but obviously kind of doing more watching, obviously, than you weren't able to participate. I'm just curious, coming back and enrolling in classes before being cleared by the NCAA, was there a concern that might not go your way, or were you always pretty sure that you were going to be cleared to compete this season?
No, I'll tell you firsthand, it's probably one of the tougher things I've had to go through this whole time, and I'm certainly stronger for it. I mean, I'm just going in there every day. First of all, I can't practice, and second of all, I don't even know if I'll be able to play for the team this fall. So it's kind of hard to have motivation at times. It's like a little bit I'm in limbo, like, what am I doing here? And then weighing my options, like, what if this doesn't go through, and then a whole list of scenarios. It was a complete mess. And then, I mean, I cried when I found out that I got reinstated. I mean, just telling you because of how crazy the process was, because no one understands how, behind closed doors, what it really was like. Thankful for family and I, Jen Cohen, Coach DeBoer. I mean, I'm in great hands at UW, and with their help, we all made it happen. So, yeah, certainly, to answer your question, it was tough, but ready to go now, and that's why huge smile on my face to be here, be with all of you, and ready to play this fall.
Was it more than just a phone call or a letter saying, okay, you're approved? Were there multiple conversations, or what was that kind of like?
No, there was, that was the official when it went through. That's how we found out, a big conference call, it finally went through, but it was back and forth, just exchanging information, just trying, because that, process of trying to get reinstatement can be long, just because they're trying to do their job and get a lot of information out of me, and we were just trying to do it, the right way and make sure we gave them everything they needed, and just stuff like that can take a while. That's why it was tough.
How much advice did you guys get from NFL players who are former Huskies?
Yeah, I've been talking with Miles Bryant a lot, picking his brain a little bit, how to break down film, and I just try to get inside the mind of the offensive coordinator. Talking to Elijah Molden about his transition from college to the NFL, and Keith Taylor, and most of the time we're just talking about life, not really talking about football. The NFL is obviously another level, another step after college, but the lifestyle in which they're living is a lot different, not just football, but outside, off the field stuff is a lot different. And like picking their brain about that stuff is probably the most important.
Yeah, Alex, you mentioned watching film, like how to watch film. You hear the general term watching film, like I got better from watching film.
Yeah.
But the process of actually doing it right, what kind of goes into that?
Yeah, it's a lot complicated, a lot more complicated than you think, and it's a lot more time consuming than people think. People just think you just watch a game and that's it. But nah, first you watch the game, kind of just sit back, just see it, just fill it out, and then you start to break down and distance. Okay, what is the quarterback doing? What is he looking at? What is his progression? And kind of just, obviously it's different for offense and defense and position, but with DB you got to be so detailed, and you got to just find any little detail you can pick off from the offense, any little tangent that they're trying to do, and you just kind of just keep watching film over and over and over and kind of see similarities amongst teams and go off that.
Are you a paper notebook kind of guy?
Oh yeah, I'll never in my life take notes on a laptop. It's the most annoying thing in the world. You always see me with a pen and paper.
Jaxson, anytime a new coach comes in, offense, defense, all that kind of stuff, what was the sort of first step fundamentally that he came in, introduced to you, or just spiritually or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Coach DeBoer brought in all the right pieces in terms of position coaches and the right structure to offense and defense. Since I'm an offensive guy, I'll talk about that. And I think we have the best kept secret in college football with Ryan Grubb, at offensive coordinator. He's a wizard on offense, that's for sure. So as far as that aspect goes, I think it's going to be, I'll just say, a lot different. I don't want to give anything away. I just can't wait for everyone to see it this fall.
Alex, how about from your perspective? What was kind of the first pillar that he set up with his bid?
Yeah, I was just piggyback off what Jaxson said. Ryan Grubb is a freaking genius. It was so hard playing against that offense during spring ball. Like they're ripping and rolling, tempo super fast, and dudes are flying around the field. But yeah, Coach DeBoer is installed something amazing. He's got something going on. There's something special going on at Washington. I mean, just from a culture standpoint, he's building. I mean, you guys, Jaxson, like this is probably the closest team we've had since we've been here. A lot of the younger guys are already best friends with 6-year guys. It's just crazy how fast, how good his recruiting was, and how good of the team is coming along.
Did you feel that shift in energy pretty early?
Definitely, and that's the thing about tough seasons like we had in 2021. I mean, it's not fun going through it. No one liked it. I mean, I won't be the first to say it was one of the tougher seasons in football I've certainly been a part of in my whole football career. But we're stronger, and we certainly are tougher for it. And we faced that fire and adversity, and that's really life. At the end of the day, you're going to go through stuff like that. It's not always sunshine and rainbows. To that point, coming back this year, we're all like a huge family now. It's like, and we don't even care about really anything that anyone writing us off or anything like that, because like we've faced the fire before. We've seen it all at this point. Like, what are you going to throw next? Because I guarantee you, it's not going to phase us.
Jaxson, kind of on that note, it's kind of a unique situation where you leave and there's one staff and you come back and there's a different staff. I'm wondering how different the vibe around this team was from when you left to when you came back.
Yeah, and like I was just saying before, I could see a lot of smiles around the locker room. When you have a tough season like last year, it gets a little grim per se, and I don't blame any of us for that just because of how difficult it was. But there's that sense of relief and everyone coming together and more motivated than ever. Everyone has the chip on the shoulder, ready to work, but we just know now what to do. We have that blueprint of how to be a successful team, because now we know what it's like not to be a successful team, and none of us want to go back there anytime soon. So it was walking back in the locker room, it was cool to see. We just got a lot of competition, a lot of friendly laughs, smiles, all the above. It's a good time.
Do you feel like you guys are a little undervalued because of what you guys went through last year? I mean, 2 years ago you guys were still in the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah, undervalued. I wouldn't say undervalued. I would just say we're a little under the radar, and we love it. I mean, I don't really like it's kind of cliche right now because the cameras are on me, but we don't really like the cameras on us too much. Even Coach Pete hated that, and yeah, we just like being under the radar, and I think when season comes, everybody gets to see how spectacular this team is.
A little bit different question. Do either of you guys remember playing the NCAA video games?
Of course, that was the best video game ever.
Okay.
And I would say Army was the best team on that game.
Okay, so for both of you, what needs to be in the new game?
Definitely game mode where you're like start out as a high school football player, you get all your scholarship offers and everything, you get to pick your school, and then you do your whole college career. So I would say certainly that was probably, my opinion, the best attribute of that game.
They gotta have Husky Stadium on there as the premier. You gotta reach a certain level of where you're at in the game in order to play at Husky Stadium. I think that's how it should be.
Were you the kind of player that would take over like random, like non-Power 5 school and try to build it into a national title? Was that you, or would you play with?
No, I was real honest. That's so funny you said that, because I honestly would wreck everybody playing with Army or run the room T and just kill everybody. So I mean, I didn't care who it was. Everybody was gonna get the word from the Army.
Now, mentioning Ryan Grubb, that Fresno State team put up a ton of points last season. Either you guys in touch with Jake? Did he give you a heads up, like, hey, this is what to expect with the new staff or anything like that?
Yeah, him and I, me, him, and Alex were all part of the same recruiting class back in 2017. So yeah, we know Jake well. I was great friends with him during his time at UW, and we always stayed in touch. So yeah, I definitely got. So one of the first things I did was hit that guy up, because no one's gonna have a better understanding than him. So yeah, I totally got a feel for it. And the biggest thing, I mean, he was jealous. He's like, "You're in the best hands ever." So that was great to hear.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I definitely had some conversations with Jake. Jake is my dog. We were roommates back in freshman year in the dorms, and as soon as Coach Zabor got hired, I called Jake. I'm like, "You coming too? You gotta come, dog." And we've had some good conversations about what the offense is gonna look like, how explosive it is, how fun it is to play with Coach Zabor, and those sort of things.
Actually, you heard Alex Forsythe, the Oregon offensive lineman, talk about the offensive linemen are teaming up to put out shirts. Hot dog. Are you getting any specific offensive lineman NIL conversations? Anything that you guys are doing?
Yeah, definitely. We just had a deal in a restaurant in Seattle where the guy was like, "Hey, bring all your buddies," which I don't know. I'm like, "Okay, are you sure about this? Like, you might be out of commission for a couple days, but we'll eat it all." So we went there, and they took a picture and stuff, and because of that, they let the guys just clean house there. It was awesome. So anytime it can be food like that. It was like American style food. It was more like hamburgers, cheeseburgers, all that. It was great.
I'm curious for both you guys. Not many people want to or have experienced 3 different head coaches during their college career. But you've seen different coaching styles now with DeBoer and just kind of the way that he runs things and his tenor and his personality. How does he approach things differently than maybe Jimmy did or Pete did? Just what have you noticed from his personality or just his approach for either of you?
Yeah. Well, Coach DeBoer, a lot of things are player-led, and he's kind of letting the players take charge. He's sort of all ears and hearing what we want the program to look like, and I think that's special because as we're building this program, it's what the players want the program to look like, and not so much the coaches. And I think that's special because a lot of the best teams in the country are player-led, and that's what he's building right now.
Yeah, I think camaraderie has been emphasized so much. Not that was ever an issue, but it's even like to a more extreme now. The team activities we do together, we're all about just getting closer to their brother. I mean, offense, defense in a college football setting, because of practice, can be so skewed. We're on different sidelines. It's a game environment. But little things like after practice, he says, let everyone, grab a guy on defense, give him a handshake, tell him good job today. And we'll shout each other out if someone had a great day. One guy from offense shouts out a guy on defense. Little things like that can definitely go a long way, because then it takes out that we're just adversaries against each other all the time. We're actually, once it's done, we're back to being brothers.